Hello and welcome back to HLS Crypto. My name is Dan. So, bored by crypto? Watch this. Being bored in crypto can be taken in two different ways. On one side of the coin, this is a good thing, but it can also be a negative, and here's why. Constantly changing your older projects for newer, shinier coins. Now, this can be a bad thing if you're operating purely out of boredom. Now, I'm not saying this was the case for someone that I know, but he actually sold his XDC the day before it had that pump a few weeks back, or maybe a month, 6 weeks ago, maybe. So that can obviously feel bad, you know. He's a good sport. He took it well. It's fine. But the thing is that there is that temptation to, if your older bags are not moving and you're thinking, oh, this is not so good, and then you start chopping and changing, it can cause you to lose money. It genuinely can. So conviction is key, and it can be a conviction in something that you've had for a long time. Like, for instance, let's give an example of VeChain, for instance. VeChain isn't like one of them sexy projects. It's not like a Casper, but it'll still do well. It might not do as well, but if you've got conviction and you invest into that project for a reason, then you've got to try and think about why you invested it into the first place and try and get that clear in your head. It's dead easy to try and just jump to the next thing. And before you know it, you've kind of like dwindled out your budget. It's not good. And then, so you can lose money flipping, which is something that I just, you've got to have conviction in whichever one. Even if you do decide to flip to something, have conviction in that. It could be the right thing to do, but be very wary, because it can happen. Whereas I know a lot of people have come out of Jasmy, Gala, different things like that, and they've gone into like Casper, maybe CSPR, Quant. That could make sense. That could be a good thing to do. I've still got a Jasmy and a Gala bag. I'm happy with those just to sit there, but I'm more heavily going into things like Casper and Quant. Boredom can make some awesome things happen, right? And let's have a look at these charts for an example. So Bitcoin, for instance, right now, let's have a look at what it is right now. So this is the 24-hour chart, okay? So that's boring, right? You can look at that and think, well, it's just going up, down, up, down. It's not really doing anything. But then you look at the max chart. Now, this is where things get interesting, okay? So this here was one of the bull runs, but let's look at this bit here. So all here, if you're buying in there, that's where you're making the money. You're making the money there. You're not making it up here. This is when you're realizing the fruits of your labor. But this is boring down here, right? This is boring. But that's where you're going to make your money. When it's up here, it's dead exciting. Of course it is, because everyone's going, oh, look, we're going to go to whatever price we're going to go to. But if you're selling up here or up here and you've bought down here, your life's different. You've changed your life. So sometimes embrace the boring part of it. That's sometimes kind of important. I'll give you another example with Quant, right? I like Quant. I've held Quant for a long time, but look, that looks boring, right? It's just a little up, little down, maybe a little pump here, a little pump there, but nothing. You're not going to sit there and think this is a roller coaster ride, are you? But then if you go on the max chart again, like I did with Bitcoin just a minute ago, you'll see that here, all this boring bit here, this is where you're making your money. This is the money maker. So this boring phase here, if you'd lost conviction here and sold, you'd have missed this. The whole purpose for being in, the big pump. And that's why it's always important to try and work out whether you're just switching projects because you're bored, or switching projects because you've lost conviction in it. And either way, one of those things is the right thing to do. If you've lost complete conviction in it, make sure it's the right reasons. But I want the market to stay boring for as long as possible, as it gives us longer to DCA into our bags at cheap, very cheap prices. These prices sometimes, I know you can hear this, you've probably heard this about a lot of coins, but you may never see some of these prices again. So I think it's so important to be able to take advantage of the fact that they're so low right now. Boring can be a huge benefit to us right now, and I genuinely believe it is. The more that we can get in now, the far greater the return in 2025 for me, because you're buying at low bottom rung prices. Can things dip a bit further? Yeah, they probably can, but they're not going to go like 100% cheaper than this. It's just not going to happen. Use the time, this boring phase, use the time effectively to get a list of your coins that you currently own. Work out your average entry price. This will really help when you are setting your exit strategy up to make maximum gains from all your hard work. Now, I've said before the importance of an exit strategy. So know all of your average buying prices for each of the projects you hold, and then look at what the targets are. What targets do you have in mind? And then have a layering out structure. This is what I'm doing. I'm having a layering out structure, so I know what my top target is. I know what my minimum target is, and then layering out along the way and in between those price targets. And I think it's important to try and get everyone to have one of them, because it makes it so much easier to hit sell when you know you're comfortable. You're like, right, that's what I wanted. I've got that. Sell. Because there's a lot of temptation to go, oh, I'll just hold a little bit longer, hold a little bit longer. And then before you know it, it's right down the other side of the hill, and you've ended up taking nothing or very little, or even losing money, which is even worse, you know? Dive deeper into your research. This can only help you further. So if you are, you've got space in your portfolio of maybe one or two more coins, then do a bit of a deeper dive. Have a good look. Use this time well, because you can. The market's not changing that much over the last few weeks, is it? It's, people are bored of it, but that's okay. Use that time to do something different. Don't be afraid to pivot if a project you believed in has not delivered. If you see red flags from your research, you're not married to these bags. So understand that as well, because I know a lot of people can do this, and this can work the other way. You can be too holden. You can want them bags so badly that you'll do anything. You won't leave them. But sometimes in the market, when things happen, and again, I'll cite Jasmy and I'll cite Gala, people have left those bags. Are they right to? Well, that's completely down to them, because their conviction is now wavered and they want a different project. If they've done that, best of luck. Same way as some people have held Gala, but there's projects out there that people have been in and they've gone to shit. Basically, they've gone awful. They've gone to zero. They're not worth having, because the reality is 95%, maybe even more, of cryptocurrencies are crap. They're just not going to do anything. But there's a lot that will. And as long as you're in the right fundamentally strong coins, you've got a real chance of just absolutely life-changing gains. Stay spread. Now, you can be overspread. You can have too many coins, but this is all dependent on your budget. Staying spread is really important, I think, because if you're just into one coin, say, for instance, you were all into just Gala, for instance, and then the news come out that they're trying to sue each other at the top, and you got this panic and all that, the big red dip that happened as a result. If you only own Gala, well, then you're screwed long term. I'm not saying Gala won't come back, because I actually think it will, but if you've got a bit of Quant, a bit of Casper, a bit of CSPR, a bit of ICP, maybe a bit of Trias, if you've got all these things and they're spread, and you've got a decent amount in each 5, 6, 7, 8 altcoins, then if one does tank, you've still got 7 others that could go up. Or even if 5 do really well, how well they do should ultimately offset any kind of loss from the lower ones. Just make sure you stay spread. I think that's really important. Don't ever be all in on one coin, because I think it'll harm you. I generally think it'll harm you, but it's up to yourself how you want to play that. Remember this, you won't have time to be bored in 2025. The bull run will be incredible and potentially the last of its kind. Now, I think that regulation is going to be so heavy after this 2025 bull run. I think this 2025 bull run could be our last kind of hurrah, our last wild, wild west of ridiculous gains. This is just an opinion. This may not happen, but I think by 2030, there'll be a lot more regulation. It'll be ran a lot more like the stock market, because I don't think that the big, powerful elites of the world really want to see the little guy getting rich, or the little girl, or whatever, the smaller person in their eyes. So I think it's important to try and get it done this time round, because I think the next time round, it may not be the same, or they may throw a little curveball in. We don't know, but I would say that this is the one. I would go for this one. You have time, but it's running out. I plan to continue to DCA until April 2024, which is the Bitcoin halving, and then reassess what the prices are looking like for the alts, as we may still have longer yet. So if the alts are still bopping around these kind of price levels, these kind of price ranges, then I'll continue to DCA until I start seeing these green candles going up, because I want to keep my average entry price low, but I want to get enough to make sure I hit my targets, hopefully before the halving. If I haven't, and I'm still got the ability to buy lower, then I'm actually going to take that. I'll constantly take low prices. There'll always be some coins that are so low that still have massive potential. So it's important to try and keep an eye out for that. I believe we all have a great opportunity here to change our lives. And I've said this before, and I'm looking forward to going back through these videos in 2025 to see how right we were, maybe in some cases how wrong, and checking the comments on the new videos in 2025 to see what you've all achieved. That's going to be fantastic. I think that's going to be really key, because a lot of crypto is not just what you invest in. Obviously, that's a major part of it, but it's also the mindset, because you can invest in the best coins in the world and you can hold them all the way up, not take any profit and hold them all the way down. And then you might think, well, that was shit, wasn't it? Well, yeah, it was, because you didn't take the profits. That's going to be always the biggest key to anything investing wise. But take your profits. Make sure you do that. I know this is a bit different video today. It's obviously not so much coin focused, but it does give you kind of an outline of what it's like during the boring phase of crypto. Because we're in a bear market. I think we're in the accumulation phase still. And I think we're going to continue to be in that for a little while. So yeah, do your hard work now, get it in, and then by 2025, you want to go and sit on a beach, you've earned the right. You can go and do that, and whatever you want to do in your life, I wish you the best of luck. So thank you very much for watching. If you did enjoy this video, please smash the like button. Subscribe if you can. That's going really well, so I appreciate every single one of you. Wherever you are in the world, have a great day, have a great evening, and as always, we'll see you tomorrow. Take it easy. Goodbye.